My name is Tim Donaghy. I'm a former NBA ref. I was involved in the biggest scandal in sports betting history. I'm from Havertown, Pennsylvania. Growing up, I loved basketball, played basketball every day. You know, we went out in the mornings and played sports all day and all afternoon in the summer, and that's how we occupied our time.
My name's Tommy Martino, and I'm Tim Donaghy's best friend. Timmy and I had a lot in common, but the main thing we had in common was the fact that we were both tenacious basketball players. He would always hack the shit out of me. He would cheat during the game, playing me, just to beat me. He would do anything to beat me. He would foul me and act like he never fouled me. But I ended up beating him anyway. I'm sure if you ask him that question, he's gonna tell you he beat me.
He liked to say that I cheated because I always beat him. Tommy was, not big in stature, but had a heart of gold and was a very tough kid. He was definitely somebody that I could rely on and count on. So, in a way, he was like a brother, somebody that would have your back if you needed it. My dad was a top college basketball referee, and I used to go to a lot of the games with him. I learned a lot about officiating at a young age. Because of that, after college, I started to pursue a career as an NBA basketball referee. You had to put your whole heart and soul into studying those rule books, be in the best shape that you could possibly be in to be able to run up and down the court with the greatest athletes in the world. I was 26 years old when I got hired, and my first game was a preseason game in Chicago with Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls, and it was one of the top accomplishments and greatest moments of my life. And when you become an NBA referee, you go in there and you're going to enforce those rules based on how they're written in the rule book. And unfortunately, you find out very quickly that that's not the way it goes. And I think sometimes the rules are enforced based on the names on the front and the back of the jerseys. And you have to basically learn the game within the game in order to survive. There was a situation where in Philadelphia, I made a traveling call against Michael Jordan. 20,000 people booed me, and it was a particular spin move that they wanted called against players in the NBA that year. In my opinion, they want that called, but not on somebody like Michael Jordan. These star players are definitely put in a better position. I think the NBA was influencing games. There were meetings to where the league would come in and have a representative tell you what they wanted you to concentrate on that night. That was going to put a certain team at an advantage or disadvantage, and they weren't telling you to fix a game, but a lot of times we walked out of those meetings saying, I think they want the Lakers to win tonight, or they want the Mavericks to win tonight, and you know that they're grading you based on what you go out and call, and if they told you that they wanted you to concentrate on a certain player traveling in the post, and in my opinion, if you made that call, you get a good grade. A good grade would get you advancement in the playoffs, and each round could mean $20,000 extra for you. So there was a lot of incentive for you to do what the league wanted you to do. I was over at the country club, and a buddy of mine just said, hey, who do you think's going to win these NBA games? I knew who was refereeing the games, and I knew teams had advantages and disadvantages based on what we discussed in that morning meeting, and I rattled off 3 games to the guy. The next day he called me and he said, man, is it that easy? And I said, what do you mean? He goes, all 3 of those games won. From that point on, we had our deal. I would give him the information. He would place the bet. We'd split the money 50-50. When you sign a contract as an NBA referee, it's in there that says you can't place a bet of any kind. It was something that really none of us followed. A lot of us went to the casinos. A lot of us gambled on the golf course. I loved the action of every shot meaning something in a golf match or the flip of the card. So it was something that I quickly became addicted to. And not only did I go up to the line, but I jumped over the line and crossed it in a way that I shouldn't have even been near. We bet on and off for about 3 years. Maybe I won $20,000, $25,000 at that time. I think if anyone found out that I was feeding the information to a buddy of mine, I would have definitely lost my job.
So I met Jimmy Batista in grade school. He went to the same grade school I did. He lived up the street from me, up the hill from me. Jimmy Batista was a professional gambler, and I believe also had connections to organized crime.
Hey, how you doing?
One day out of the blue, I get a call from him. He goes, Donaghy's in trouble. He's betting on his own games. We have to meet up with him. Word's out on the street, and I'm afraid he's gonna lose his job. I said, you got it. The date came. I didn't know what was going on. I thought I was helping Timmy out.
I was in Philadelphia to referee a game. Tommy said that he was gonna come down and take me out to dinner, and got a big surprise when that big fat dickhead Batista walked in. We immediately sat down, and that's when he said that he had known what I'd been doing. And he was getting those plays behind my back, and he wanted to continue to get those plays, or he was gonna expose me to the NBA for gambling, or worse yet, have somebody visit my wife and kids in Florida. I felt like my life was, flashing in front of me. Went into the bathroom, threw some cold water on my face.
I said, Tim, what the fuck, dude? At this point, I didn't know that Donaghy was betting games, so I didn't know that Batista was doing it so he could give him the games. So I was like, holy shit, man.
Tommy followed me in there, and I said, Tommy, what the heck are you doing bringing him down here? I didn't know Batista that well, but what I knew of him, he was just a total scumbag. And so it was just a situation where nothing ever good comes from anyone that's around him. I agreed with Batista to give him the picks for the rest of the NBA season for $2,000 per correct pick.
Donaghy says, okay, take the Celtics. And the next night, Celtics kicked the Sixers' ass. The next night, Batista met me and threw me $5,000. 2 for Donaghy, 3 for me. I was the middleman in all this. Without me, it doesn't happen. I started working with Tim to try to get the games in a discreet way to pass it along to Batista.
When I was on the road, I would just call Tommy if I had some good information on a game after the morning meeting and basically relay to him, not the information, but what team was gonna win.
Me and Tim used a secret code if it was the home team that Timmy wanted us to take. It was my brother Chuck, because he stayed at home. Never got married. My brother Johnny got married, moved to New Jersey. He was the away team. So Donaghy would call me up and say, hey, I told Johnny today. So I knew right away that it was the away team who was gonna win that night. I would call Batista. I would tell Batista the game, same way through Johnny or Chuck.
What about Johnny?
And then Batista would give me the point spread.
Thank you for the info, Tommy.
And then I called Donaghy back, and I would have to disguise the point spread. So if the point spread was like 7.5, I would have to say like somebody's address so that we would, not get detected by the feds.
Betting the spread in gambling is when you pick a team that is either favored by a certain amount of points or giving a certain amount of points. If the Lakers are favored by 6, if the Lakers win by more than 6, then you win the bet. If they win by less than 6, then you lose the bet. If they win by 6, it's a tie.
And he told me if the point spread was 6 points or less, it was a lock, we would win. He can influence a game.
If the spread in the newspaper was 5 points and I knew we were gonna crack down on certain things that the Houston Rockets were doing in the previous games, and Yao Ming was traveling into post and setting illegal screens that would take away several scoring opportunities for the Houston Rockets, and that team was going to be put at a disadvantage. And it worked out great. We won about 70 to 80% of the time.
We were winning. I think he was influencing the game whichever way we needed it. We were doing so good, and we were winning at such a great clip.
Tommy would travel, or I was getting ready to do a game. He'd show up in a brown paper bag with the money, just like in the movies, and throw it on the bed, and we'd go out and we'd have a blast. We'd go out, have a great dinner, go out to the nicest club. I made a total of $26,000 or $27,000. I think that was in a 3-month period.
Donaghy says it was $30,000, which is bullshit. But I know what I gave to Donaghy, and it was between $100,000 and $120,000. We were winning every game, and we were getting paid.
I thought at the end of the season it would be over and Tommy would be able to control Batista and get him off my back and everything would be done. And I definitely had no idea that the walls were closing in.
I remember being on the beach in South Beach, Miami, and my phone gets an unavailable call. And I know unavailable calls aren't good. I know that. I answered the phone, and they said, "Hey, this is the FBI. Where are you? When are you coming home?" And that's when they started asking me questions about Timmy.
When Tommy told me, the FBI had been to his house, my heart sank. Deep down, I knew I was screwed. I went to an attorney, and he ended up calling the United States attorney who was on the case. He said, "Listen, you give Tim Donaghy a message from me. You tell him we know what he did, we know who he did it with, and we know everything about this. He's better off coming to us before we come arrest him, because if he doesn't come to us, not only is he going to lose his job, but he's going to go to jail for a long, long time." I thought that that was basically a promise for me to stay out of jail, so I got on a plane with 2 attorneys and went and met with them. I thought Jimmy Batista was making a lot of small personal bets. I had no idea that Batista was betting millions and millions of dollars and making millions and millions of dollars for people in these picks. He was charged by the FBI, so Batista was going down, and Martino and I were going down with him.
I think the NBA wanted it to go away because Donaghy started saying, "I'll wear a wire, and I'll wear it in the locker rooms, and I'll prove to you that the NBA's doing this."
I think it was a situation where the United States attorney was trying to protect the integrity of the NBA as if everything I was saying wasn't true, when in fact it was true, in my opinion. A lot of people want to say, well, the games had to be fixed, but the FBI and the NBA went over all the game tapes and said that I never fixed the game, and I had one of the highest call percentages of any referee on the staff, so it's not like I was going out there and fixing the games. I think I was just going out there and calling what the league wanted to call, and that's what we did.
If Tim tells you that he wasn't influencing the games, I think it's not true, because we won at a 80% clip. He used to tell me that if a guy's foot was close to the end down line and we needed the call, he would make that call.
I pled guilty to gambling and wire fraud and was sentenced to 15 months.
I was ultimately convicted of wire fraud and sentenced to 1 year and a day.
It was very troublesome to me that I took responsibility for my part in this, but yet the NBA acted like I was one bad apple that did this by myself, and they had nothing to do with it. No doubt about it. It was David versus Goliath, and me taking on the NBA, what I said versus what they said.
We think we have here a rogue, isolated criminal. There's been some speculation that we knew that Donaghy was betting this season and nevertheless let him work. That's not true. This is not something that is anything other than an act of betrayal.
I don't want to blame anyone for the stupid choices that I made, but the bottom line is I'd be in the NBA going close to my 30th year with guys that I grew up with, but I threw it all away. It's something that I really regret.